go back and listen to again and again. And I think we've got a lot of people that will be joining the recorded playback. So super excited about the content tonight. My name is Mark. This is my wife, Krista. We're the Harrises. We're in Kansas City, Missouri. For those of you that are joining our wider call tonight, we are combining team calls with our team. Julie White and Kurt Heisey are two of our leaders. And we're being very intentional to try to combine our forces and also invite my mother-in-law, Krista's mom's team, Jackie, Elite Pro 8. And we're actually joining you tonight from her office. Jackie, you'll notice momentarily, is conspicuously absent. We planned very hard to schedule this time to have her share. For those of you that don't know, Jackie is an author of a fantastic book called Silent Takeover, How the Body Hijacks the Mind. She's a behavioral and learning disorders specialist, and that's primarily the catalyst or the motivation for her doctor here in Lee Summit, Missouri, to share the LifeVantage opportunity products with her, knowing her specialty with behavioral disorders and neurological disorders, developmental delays, etc. And Jackie is a tour de force. She's my Energizer mother-in-law. I teasingly call her my Christian witch doctor mother-in-law. But there was a death in the family, extended family, and so Jackie has whisked herself off to the airport. She's on a plane right now as we speak, heading to Houston for a connection, and she'll be joining my father-in-law Glenn in Valdosta, Georgia, for a dear family friend's funeral. I don't know if you guys remember. I'm just going to hit mute here real quick. So Julie, if you'll help me just maintain the muting of folks jumping on. Again, if you're just now jumping on, just check your mute button to make sure that you yourself are muted, and we'll try to maintain quiet on the connection as well. But I don't know if you remember a dear, sweet, elderly gal, the oldest LifeVantage distributor, Miss Lois, as she's known, Lois Cunningham. She actually performed How Great Thou Art from stage as a LifeVantage hero at one of our LifeVantage corporate events 2 years ago. And she received a big bouquet of roses. Later that night, she performed at the Grand Ole Opry as her son-in-law happens to be musician Josh Turner. So that was pretty special. We happened to be there for that. And Miss Lois was a proponent, an incredible evangelist for Protandim. And we've got videos of her holding up that little blue bottle, attributing her longevity to the LifeVantage breakthrough and our Protandim product. So Miss Lois passed away and has gone on to be with the Lord. At 101. At 101. So that's how you want to go out, really. She fell and broke her hip, and that seemed to be a little too much for that little body. But
she made it through physical therapy and all the way home for a couple of weeks. So.
And she was planning on her birthday celebration at 102. So just an amazing gal. But that's where Jackie is tonight. I apologize on her behalf. She was absolutely
super disappointed.
Really disappointed that she couldn't join us tonight, and she sends her apologies. Obviously, we understand why she can't be on. But there is no replacing my mother-in-law, but I think you're going to be really happy with our guest presenter tonight. I will forego the normal announcements and updates that we do for these team calls to get right to our guest presenter. And to do that, I would like, if Julie, if you will, we'll take a few minutes and introduce Dr. Viglione. We don't know one another that well. To do what Dr. Viglione has done to reach the elite status in LifeVantage, especially as a practitioner, doubly so as double board certified, just blows my mind and gives us incredible validation that we're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people, because normally that doesn't happen. So Julie, I'll shut up, and if you will.
But I just want to say how grateful we are. Thank you, Doctor, for stepping in for Mom.
Yes.
We really needed someone tonight, and you're wonderful to step in and help us. So we're super grateful.
So I'm going to mute. Julie, back to you.
Okay. Well, it sure is an honor and a privilege to be able to introduce to you tonight Dr. Deborah Viglione. And She, in my opinion, she's just incredible. She's a saint. And I too just so appreciate you stepping up tonight. I know you have an incredibly busy schedule because you are busy just making a difference and helping so many people. And I just want to give a little bit of your background. Like Mark said, she's double board certified in internal medicine. She also has an anti-aging and regenerative medical health center where she works every day helping people. She's a Gulf War vet, and she's also a LifeVantage Legacy Builder volunteer. And you know, what I've really noticed about Dr. Deborah is that she truly has a heart of compassion for helping other people. And I know that's why you're doing what you're doing. So, Deborah, again, we're just so grateful that you're able to join us tonight and help us out and share on the Vitality Stack and anything else that's on your heart. So we have a few guests on here tonight, and we're excited to have you on. So go ahead, Dr. Deborah.
Okay, great. Hey, everybody. Happy to be here. A little hungry, haven't had dinner yet, but anyway, I've been in anti-aging, internal medicine, integrative medicine since the 90s, and it's just kind of gotten progressively more and more through the years. Back when I started, I didn't want to do it because it was very complicated, and people came in with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, Gulf War illnesses. Those were things that weren't heard of before, and they were coming in at increased frequency, and you know, people thought they were crazy, they were depressed, and they were throwing antidepressants and other drugs at them. And they found their way to my office because I was looking for, okay, why is this happening? What's going on? So if you read my website, I'm all about finding the root of the problem, treating the root, trying to get people well, because the human body is just amazingly designed, and it's designed to heal and stay healthy. And we just keep sabotaging it or hijacking it with the environment. And so that was in the 90s. And what is appalling to me now is the number of people that are ill. Back then, I'd say, you know, maybe it was 1 in, I don't know, 20 that I had to deal with that kind of thing. Or I can't even say, but it was so much rarer than it is now, you know. And I know some of it is people seek me out because they're having so many illnesses. But when you look on Facebook and you see these medical groups that are, you know, histamine intolerance, mast cell activation disorder, you know, methylation, I mean, it's just all over the place. People are really, really sick. Our environment is completely toxic. I learned something today that I've been poisoning my dogs. I didn't know. I had them on Benefil dog food, and now it's got lawsuits because apparently that's been killing animals. I think the only reason they've been okay is they've been on Pet Tandem. But I mean, it is just alarming. And one of the big culprits is the glyphosate, or that's Roundup in food, and it's gotten in our water supply, and it's really bad. But I'd say, you know, if you look at statistics, the incidence of autism, Alzheimer's disease has gone through the roof. And that's brain and gut inflammation, you know, at either end of the spectrum. So like she said, I've gotten very, very busy. It's very rewarding, but it's intense. And, you know, and I've been looking for an answer for years, you know, okay, there's got to be a common denominator, something we can do. Oxidative stress is behind all diseases pretty much, and aging. And so we've known that for a really long time. And, you know, we've been hearing it at our conferences, but funny that the average American has no idea what it is. And I would probably say 8 or 9 tenths of the doctors don't know what oxidative stress is. And that's really sad because it's behind all the diseases. And so I was at the American Academy of Anti-Aging and Regenerative Medicine, the big world meeting they have every year in Las Vegas in 2014. And that's where I was introduced to LifeVantage and Protandim, NRF2. The chief science officer at the time was lecturing on it. And I had met Dr. Sean McKee through a mutual doctor friend, and I was making fun of all of them because they were involved in network marketing, and how could they be so stupid? And they had me come to dinner, and I met the science officer, Dr. Talbert, and he invited me to come here and lecture. And I was like, they let somebody like you, a network marketer, lecture in our meetings? You know, so it was really bad, and I stuck my foot in my mouth multiple times, but they dragged me to the lecture. And I saw the data on protandim NRF2 and what it did, reducing oxidative stress and some of the other enzymes that upregulated. I literally got chills from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, started thanking the Lord immediately. I said, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. And then my next thought was, okay, this is network marketing, and this is going to change the world. It's going to change my practice and everybody. And I'm like, okay, there's money to be made. So I'm going to figure that part out too, because it's going to fix my finances. Because doing what I do, at least in the area I live in, is it's time consuming and I don't make any money. I would make like loads of money if I lived in a city, but this is where I live, and I'm doing what I do. So I need some help, and I've gone through a bad divorce, and so I knew financially that it would be an opportunity. But then I kind of got mad at God, and I was like, why are you telling me now? I've been doing this kind of medicine, for so long, and I could have known about this much sooner. But that was all the more reason I realized we've got to get the word out. Network marketing, it's us. It's one person at a time telling other people, and people need to know about this. So I still was not going to be a network marketer, and I figured I would just tell my patients about it and they could tell other people about it. But Dr. Sean McKee was having none of that and came to my office every week for about 2 months and made me invite my patients to hear her talk. And that's really how my business launched. And I made Pro 5 very, very, very quickly. Now, I have to correct him. I'm not elite. I wish I were there. And I'm elite at heart. But I've been stuck at Pro 5 for a long time, probably mainly because I did grow so fast and wasn't able to do what I needed to train the other people to get duplication going. But it's frustrating, like all of us go through, people sign up and really they're just glorified customers. They don't want to work the business. So to get to the elite level, you really have to have people that are building the business. And I work Life Vantage every day. It's going to happen for me. It takes some time. But it did rescue my practice financially. It's been Pro 5. It's been wonderful to have that additional income. But what's been the most amazing to me, because I knew I was going to see amazing things. So I bought $2,500 of the product and told all my patients, you need to get on this. You need to try it. And that's all we had at the time. And it was unbelievable. I checked labs every 2 months because I wanted to see how quickly I would see something. And it really was about at the 6-month mark that I started to see changes in labs. And it's just been so much fun over the last 3.5 years to actually watch people get well. I don't care what was wrong with them. Maybe cancer, but even that, I think that I've made headway helping people live longer and feel better to the end with that. But it's just been, an amazing ride. It's been phenomenal. I have a medical student rotating with me right now. And he's also a PhD and he's a chiropractor. So he knows a lot, and he's been in the functional medicine world for a long time. And he's very skeptical. I'm sure you guys have run into that with people that are not believers in Protandim. And he actually knows probably a little bit too much about biochemistry. And so he just, can't believe that this one supplement's going to do so much. And I've told him, I said, it has changed my entire practice. You just got to watch, you got to see what this stuff does. So it's kind of interesting. But, he's going to see it as he watches, my patients come in and what was wrong with them and see what gets better. But I'm going to talk more about the Vitality Stack. So that was kind of how I started out. And it was probably 2 years, I think, before we got our NRF1. Now, mitochondria is talked about big time now. I mean, they still say oxidative stress, but they're moving more towards talking about mitochondrial dysfunction in aging and disease. Now, that's caused by oxidative stress, but the mitochondria are the powerhouses in our cells that make 90% of our energy. And when you lose them as you get older, that's part of the reason that we have decreased energy as we get older. But they also become dysfunctional. And they've decided that the main reason we get cancer is those mitochondria get dysfunctional. And when that happens, the cell can't make enough energy. So it mutates to run on glucose all the time and doesn't use the mitochondria anymore. And then you have a cancer cell. And so the last thing we want to do is have unhealthy mitochondria because we don't want to make cancer. So when the NRF1 came out, I was really excited because my number one complaints are I'm tired, I can't lose weight, and I've got brain fog. And I knew that when I supplied more energy to the body, that those things would be improved. The more energy equals more activity, one, but you're also going to up your metabolism, so you're going to burn more calories. And you're going to feed the brain. The brain's going to be able to think better. The fog's going to clear. So those two gene activators paired together are phenomenal. And I've seen quicker results, better results, just amazingly fast when you use those two together. So they're my 1-2 punch. And, people ask me which is more important. And I can't say, because you got the NRF2 that gets rid of the free radicals, but part of what the NRF2 does is detox the body of chemicals and pesticides and all the bad things. Well, it takes energy to do that. And a lot of people get into trouble because of poorly functioning mitochondria, and they'll say, oh, I can't take protein, or I have a side effect, or every time I take it, this happens. Well, because they've got a block in the system, and they need that NRF1 to help them get through it. So I just, I can't decide, so I'm like, you just really need to take them both. And then the third part is the gut. The gut is your second brain. Some people even call it the first brain, but that's where all of everything starts, because you've got to absorb your nutrients to be healthy. And if your gut is off and it's inflamed, then you're not going to absorb the nutrients in your food. You're going to have a leaky gut, and things like viruses, bacteria, fungus are going to get in. And then guess what? The brain gets leaky too, and all this stuff gets into your brain, and boom, you've got autism, you've got Alzheimer's disease, or you've got something bad. One of the neurodegenerative diseases, MS, whatever. So you've got to keep that gut healthy and that immune system strong. Now, I've used hundreds, if not thousands, of probiotics through the years. So when LifeVantage came out with one, I was like, okay, that's nice, but I would never have bought it if I'd looked at the label, because it only has 6 billion bacteria. And we were taught, get the highest amount you can get, certainly not anything less than 20, but definitely like 50 or 100 billion. Well, that's because most of them don't get past the stomach acid. They get destroyed. So with this technology that LifeVantage used, they actually bought the technology that it actually guarantees 60% delivery, and it's delayed release. And I think that delayed release makes a big difference, because the bacteria goes where it's supposed to go. So I really wasn't expecting to see anything with this probiotic, but about 6 bottles and had a few people try it. And literally they came back and they were raving. I've heard this is the first normal bowel movement I've had in 10 years, or, my stomach's flat again, I don't have gas. It just goes on and on. So 8% of my patients are on a probiotic or on that one. There's a few that prefer others, but it's been a big surprise. It also has beta-glucan in it, which is a yeast that actually turns on the white cells in your intestines. So that helps you have a good barrier of defense to the viruses and the toxins that come in. So that's been awesome. And if you buy those 3, that's called the Activated Essentials. But the latest thing that LifeVantage did was add an omega-3. When you heard us doctors, we would always say, okay, people go, well, what else do you need to take? And we'd say, well, vitamin D and fish oil. And it's kind of funny, because then they came out with fish oil that had vitamin D in it. There's not enough vitamin D in there, though. They had to stick with USRDA, I guess, and it's not enough. So you do still need to take additional vitamin D. And it's not really a therapeutic dose of fish oil, but it's great just as an everyday preventive to help, get those omega-3s up over your omega-6s. It also has a little bit stronger DHA to EPA, which is for your brain. And with all these neurodegenerative diseases now, your brain is critical. So at first I was upset because I wanted to see a higher EPA ratio because that's more for inflammation. But the Protandim NRF2 is knocking that inflammation out. So you really, it's a perfect combination of all 4. We call that our vitality stack. And that's my go-to with patients. And, if they won't do that, I know I'm going to be back where I was 15, 20 years ago with people, trying this supplement, trying that supplement. But if they'll get on this, they get better. And I may have to add something here or there, tweak something, but it's treating the core areas, and they're gene activators. Technology changed. We don't just supplement now, we're activating genes. So it's like millions of times more powerful than taking those ingredients that are in them by themselves. Because people come out, well, I have to take curcumin for my inflammation. I'm like, well, no, you rarely have to. If you stay on this long enough, your inflammation is going to come down. Sometimes at the beginning, I'll have them continue what they're on at a different time of day until their inflammation is down, the neurotransmitters are up, the enzymes that gobble up free radicals. It's just, but eventually that's my core. And I, maybe if they have, I do nutrigenomics, which is studying genetics and looking at weaknesses. So if somebody has a methylation problem or another weakness, yes, I may have to add a supplement specifically designed for that. But this is my core treatment in everybody. So I don't know if you guys want to ask me questions. I kind of whipped through that probably pretty fast. I don't know how much time we have tonight.
Well, we're grateful to have you.
Tell everybody today something that I noticed today. Okay, I've been on this stuff it'll be 4 years in December. Okay, I don't wear glasses and I don't wear reading glasses. I do have a little bit of presbyopia, but I get these little bottles that have writing on it that is really, really teeny. And I've had to use these big magnifiers to read that writing because I have to copy down the lot number. I can read them now. I don't need glasses. It's just amazing.
That is awesome. And Doc, how old are you, if we can ask?
I am 58. I'll be 59. And
good
you look awesome.
Thank you.
You look awesome. I have a couple questions, and then we'll go to the chat forum as well. So just to help clarify, so you said you're looking at charts for 6 months. I know a lot of time for PCs and it's always the education from our side that's enabling people to make wise decisions on their protocol and their regimen and how long, how often, all that. So when you're looking at these charts for 6 months, could you help just those of us that are not practitioners or clinicians set that expectation for our customers, why we're looking for 6 months commitment on those products? What typically you're seeing at 6 months?
Well, it kind of depends on what people are having done. I do really extensive panels that look at advanced lipids. I look at pre-diabetes, the markers of insulin resistance. I look at highly sensitive CRP, which is an inflammatory markers, and I look at other ones. So I do an extensive panel on everybody looking at predominantly, I think, inflammation. So if somebody's only getting a chemistry panel, a blood count, and a standard lipid panel, they may not see a big change because it's not really like a cholesterol lowering agent. I do see cholesterols for the most part come down. I'm not really sure why that is, but it's not like taking a statin or something that's designed to bring the cholesterol down. So you really have to monitor more labs, but those enzymes that we're talking about upregulating, they go up, obviously some at 30 days because that's when your oxidative stress is reduced 40%. But by 4 months, like glutathione, which is your master antioxidant detoxifier, that's up on average 300%. Your catalase that gobbles up hydrogen peroxide is up 55%, and SOD is up 35, or vice versa. I can't remember the two. But so that's really after 4 months when you got all those enzymes geared up, then the body begins that healing process. And that, depending on what's wrong with you, that can take a long time. Hair color is turning back to normal. That happens over a period of, 1 to 3 years. It's pretty interesting because you're bringing your hydrogen peroxide down, and so the hair can turn naturally back to its normal color. Now, that doesn't happen in everybody, but I'd say probably at least 50% of the people I've seen that. So you got to realize what's going on inside your body. You didn't get sick overnight. You didn't get tired overnight. It's not like a drug. It doesn't happen immediately because it's working with your body to do the healing. And if you've got a lot of toxins in you, it may take you years to get the toxins out, but you're going to start seeing improvements, in your labs. Like I have a type 1 diabetic, and, they're insulin dependent because their pancreas does not function. And she's lowered her insulin. I mean, it's crazy. She's lowered her insulin, her labs look better, her cholesterol looks better, just by being on the activated essentials. Nothing else has changed, so it's amazing what reducing oxidative stress can do.
Yeah. So if you're just joining us tonight, thanks for joining in. We have a special guest, Dr. Deborah Viglione, double board certified practitioner, medical doctor, joining us. If you're looking for Jackie Shepard, we will have her on another time in the future. She is on her way to a funeral, regrettably, and she sends her regards. But at this point, because we have so much content about our products, I should say this. I should say these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, and our products, our LifeVantage products, are not intended to treat or cure or mitigate or prevent or diagnose anything. We don't have a miracle pill, but we do have a miracle body. And I know Dr. Viglione would agree with me on that. I have a couple more questions, and we'll turn it over to open up.
I want to tell you something real quick, too, guys. I have a little miniature dachshund that turns 10 next month, and I was in Atlanta this weekend for a funeral, and my daughter called hysterically Saturday night because she'd been mauled by probably a coyote. I don't know how she got away. When they did surgery on her today, the tooth mark was all the way down to her carotid artery. I mean, it's just a miracle that she wasn't killed. But she had just had hernia surgery 2 weeks ago. And the emergency care center we took delayed her treatment for 3 hours. I mean, I can't believe this dog is alive. But because she'd had her surgery, she's a small dog. So I normally have her on a half of a pet tandem, but she'd been on 2 a day since prior to surgery and after surgery. And that dog is still alive. I mean, she's in the ICU right now. But, I got to credit Pet Tandem because I don't think she'd be here. It got that Lord or whatever made that animal drop her. She's got fractured ribs. I mean, it's the most pitiful sight, but I'm praying she's going to get through this.
Yeah, absolutely. Doc, I think my mind is racing. I've got so many questions, and I know other people want to ask some questions, and I want you to get back to your dinner because I'm mindful that you have not eaten yet.
Yeah, and I want to get on Gabe's call, too. Gabe's call's
Yes. So real quick, 2 questions that I'll generate then, and we'll let you go. The first one, just a reclarification or a highlight of something you said about mitochondria and the carcinogenesis, how once the mitochondria are depleted, then the body looks to glucose to replace that energy as free, easy energy, and that's where the cancer process starts. Heretofore, we've been slow to recommend NRF1 Protandim as it increases oxidative stress for people that are struggling with a particular condition or are looking to gain some benefit from something that they're facing. So your recommendation would be to go ahead and advocate somebody to take NRF1 in that condition, or looking at the potential.
Absolutely. The amount that it increases oxidative stress short term, I think it's not even significant. I was a little bit worried about that at first, and I have adopted the opposite approach in my autistic kids, which are, they're the worst of the worst. And if they're really bad, I will just start NRF1 for a few weeks and then add the NRF2, because at NRF2, you can't detox if you don't have enough energy to do the detoxification. So it's not raising oxidative stress to any degree.
That's really helpful. That's super helpful. Thank you for that. The last thing I will ask you is, so even as a doctor, and I'm asking this a little tongue in cheek because we already know what happens. Everybody needs third-party validation. We have doctors in our team that call us for three-way phone calls. But what would you say to people who they don't know what to say to skeptics? People see, they see studies by lay people that are trying to prove something, they're selling something else. And so there's all this sort of nefarious content online. If it's on the internet, it must be true, right? And so what do you say to people who are struggling to know what to say to skeptics and to critics and to cynics?
Okay, I caught half of that, I think, because the internet kept coming out. But it's hard, because obviously I was one myself. And so sometimes I kind of take it away from them. I said, hey, I realize that. I said, but, we've got 27 peer-reviewed studies on PubMed, and you won't find other nutritional supplements typically that have that. You'll find studies on vitamin D, vitamin C, glutathione, but a branded nutritional supplement, especially the ones that have a zillion ingredients in it, you're not going to find anything on there. So tell them, go look up the product. See, we have university validated studies. And, if you don't want to benefit from that, I'm not going to try to talk you into it. All I can tell you is, we have the studies. You can try to prove it doesn't work. You can't, because you're not smarter than those universities. I mean, sometimes you have to get a little bit, snippy with them, but, try to prove it wrong. You can't. And we have, what do we have, 800 some medical professionals now that have joined our movement, LifeVantage, because this stuff works. So I just kind of developed that posture, and I tell my group, I said, this stuff works. If they don't want to benefit from it, take it away from them. Because it's amazing. It's better than anything I've used in my entire career. So you just have to adopt that posture.
Well, Doc, thank you so much for making the time to be with us tonight. It's very kind of you to change your evening schedule. We appreciate you. And I was just speaking prophetically. You are an elite in our minds.
I'm there. I am so there.
Yeah. Well, and we're super elated that you see things from a bigger perspective as well. There's more than what we see at stake here. So we appreciate you, Deborah.
Oh,
thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you. All right, bye-bye, guys.
Thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Really cool. So I've got announcements. You guys know Global Convention's coming up October 24th. My goodness, if you've got new people that are joining your team, make sure a gold or platinum pack gets them registered for that event, or at least gives them the credit for the registration. You can go on lifevantage.com, the bottom panel, to register for that. The hotel books are still available. If you're a guest joining us for the first time tonight, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy Monday night to join us. There are formal presentations that we do all the time through this format. So get with the person that invited you tonight and say, hey, how can I find out more? There's actually an opportunity meeting later on tonight somewhere. I think Gabe Pearson is doing one tonight. BigBlueCalendar.com is a venue, a platform you can look up more of these Zoom presentation tools. This happens to be our weekly team call. So we just were privileged to have a doctor tonight talking about our breakthrough nutrigenomic products as well. Lots of announcements. We'll leave it there. Julie, if you have anything else you wanna add as we end the call, I will mention this one thing for those of you that have reached the rank of Pro 4 in our company and up. If you missed the leadership call this morning, you should know that our Monday morning national or really international leadership calls will be changing their formats to only the 1st and the 25th of every month. That is not necessarily a Monday. It will come on different days during the week, even on Sundays. You should look for your emails regarding those changes in your back office and in your personal emails from LifeVantage. So just wanted to make you aware of that. If you missed that on the call this morning, the playback's available. Get with your account manager for those details as well. Julie, anything else? And I'll let you wrap us up.
Thank you, Mark. Well, I'm just thrilled about our call tonight and all the wonderful information that we received from Dr. Viglione. And the only thing I would say is that Gabe Pearson does have a Zoom webinar at 9 p.m. Eastern. And tonight he's having Dr. Neil Goodman on, and I've heard him share on the Vitality Stack, and he's also pretty amazing. So anybody that can jump on that would be great. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. So the recording will be posted on the Activators tomorrow. Okay, good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Good night, Julie. Good night, Mark and Krista.
Good night, everyone.